All right. In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a reading log where you reflect on the questions that your brain came up with as you read. The way that we keep reading most of the time, or the way we stay engaged with books, or anything we're reading usually, is that we're constantly coming up with questions in our brain. And we're not always stopping the book, putting it down and thinking to ourselves, what questions do I have in my brain right now? Most of the time it works out that your brain automatically generates questions about what's happening in the text, which causes you to continue reading a story. And if your brain's not generating lots of questions, then you might stop reading. Or if your brain generates way too many questions, then you also might start reading because you feel like you'll never figure stuff out. So it's important from time to time to go back and think about what are those questions that your brain was asking as you read, and then did you find your answer? And if so, how did you find your answer? What was that answer to that question? So in order to do this, you need to do a couple different things. To start, you need to include a summary I can understand in the content of text portion, which is nothing new. That's right over here. Remember that you're only summarizing the part of the story that led you to the strategy. You're not summarizing the part of the story that you've read overall in general. That would never fit in this little space here. Just the part of the story that led you to the strategy. Beyond that, you need to have at least one piece of direct evidence or quotation in your strategy explanation section. And you need an explanation of what you did for the strategy and an explanation of how the strategy helped you understand the text. So in order to do that, let's take a look at my example. Okay, so to start the example, let's look at the summary. The summary is relating directly to the part of the book that led me to ask my question. So here it is. In the short story, All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury, the main character, a girl named Margot, is in a classroom on a school on Venus where it has been raining every day for 7 years. So I got to provide that backstory, that information, that background details, because you got to write as if your reader has not read your book. Right before the sun comes out, her classmates shove her down the hall and lock her into a closet. They forget about her and leave her there until the rain starts up again, which is about an hour later. So the strategy explanation, I need to talk about how did my brain come up with questions. I got to include a piece of text evidence where that question occurred. And then I got to write about how did that help me understand the text. So I'm writing in the text right before the sun comes out, he, the bully in the class who started picking on Margot, gave Margot a shove. Remember these brackets right here? These brackets are just my words, adding into the text to make a reader understand what's going on. The rest of the class stood by and did nothing. At this moment in the text, I was wondering why her classmates were being so mean to her and letting her get picked on by the bully. So that was my question. It's like, why is that happening? Why is everyone just standing by? Well, it turns out they were probably just jealous of Margot's past life on Earth and the fact that she might be moving back. So in this case, for my question, I didn't find an exact answer in the book. Sometimes you will find an exact answer for your question. A lot of times it's just an inference that you make. So what was the question? And then it could be answered by an inference. So this helped me understand the story because it made it more clear how terrible life must be on Venus. For people to go along with pushing a kid into a closet and lock them there, especially during the 1 hour and 7 years it stops raining, those people must have a ton of built-up rage inside of them due to where they are living at. So that helped me understand the story more. So that's how you do a questioning reading log.